There's a new international demand for answers about how and why Iranian missiles shot down that passenger plane in Iran. Foreign ministers from Canada and the 4 other countries which lost citizens met today at the Canadian High Commission in London. They paid tribute to the 176 people who died and then sat down to hash out a list of demands for Iran. As Crystal Goomansingh reports, the question is getting Iran to cooperate.
Bonded by grief, government leaders from Canada, Ukraine, Sweden, Afghanistan, and Britain put their unity on display. A moment of silence quickly moving to a meeting and a list of diplomatically worded demands for Iran.
I think what the world is asking today is full accountability and full transparency and full cooperation by Iran.
The Canadian-led group agreed to 5 points during the day-long meeting. Key among them, international observers involved in every step of Iran's investigation. They're also calling for Iran to identify victims' remains with dignity, an independent and credible criminal investigation, compensation, and accountability for those responsible. That's where the Netherlands comes in. They were invited because of their experience dealing with a long and detailed investigation of downed Malaysia Airlines Flight 17. In 2014, the passenger plane was shot down over eastern Ukraine. 298 people died.
I know how important it is to the relatives and friends of the deceased that governments do their utmost to achieve truth and justice about what has happened.
Iran did take responsibility for shooting down Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752 last week, but it's pulling the United States into its circle of blame, saying ongoing fighting had members of its Revolutionary Guard on edge. All parties are urging Iran to keep cooperating.
We will judge Iran when it comes to the investigation as to whether international experts will be allowed to join in the investigation. We judge Iran on the fact that in the case of Canada, because you were asking me, the Transport Safety Board, 2 experts are now in Tehran, and we have offered also to have experts being there to help when the black box are going to be open.
Canada was delayed in getting to the crash site by several days. Officials were in Turkey waiting for visas to be approved, so not all requests are being dealt with in a timely fashion. At this point, the grieving nations can only assume that Iran wants to be seen as a cooperative player in the eyes of the international community. Donna?
Crystal Goomansingh in London, thanks. Ontario is creating 57 post-secondary scholarships to honor the Canadian victims of Flight 752. Premier Doug Ford says the scholarships will be $10,000 each. They'll be awarded on academic merit and financial need. More than a dozen post-secondary institutions in Ontario lost students or faculty members in the disaster. The tensions in the Middle East appear to have eased a little bit, allowing the Canadian forces to resume some operations in Iraq. Global's investigative reporter Stewart Bell is in Kuwait City tonight, the headquarters of Canada's mission in Iraq. Stewart?
Well, it's been just over a week since the Canadian military put their operation in Iraq on pause following the U.S. airstrike that killed the Quds Force leader Qasem Soleimani. But Thursday, the military did say that some of their operations had now resumed. That includes transport flights into Iraq to supply the troops, and some special operations activities have also been allowed to carry on now under what the military is calling strict parameters.
We are constantly assessing the threat. We are constantly making decisions that would be applicable to ensure the protection of the force and positioning ourselves to be ready to whatever comes next.
The United States has also returned to its fight against ISIS in northern Iraq, but a Canadian military spokesperson said that safety remained the priority for the Canadian troops and that the training mission remained on hold for now. Stewart Bell, Global News, Kuwait City.